Hello everybody, welcome back to my movie review series. Today we'll be continuing on with the Jurassic Park franchise with Jurassic Park 3.
Just finished watching it. I hadn't seen this one. I think I saw this one in theaters actually with my brother and my old babysitter, Matt Suttle, I believe. But I saw this one when it came out, probably right around 2001.
But you know how we do it. Overall impressions and grade after reading the logistics of the movie as presented by Google.
If you've not seen the movie and would like to pass that, you'll want to shut off the video because there will be spoiler alerts. We'll be discussing the plot synopsis and character development, and any similar movies or major themes. So Jurassic Park 3 was released in 2001, rated PG-13. It is a science fiction / action movie. It has a noticeably shorter runtime than the other two at 1 hour and 32 minutes. You can watch it for free on Tubi. That's where I watched it. And some other options as well. So it says, after being persuaded by a wealthy businessman to conduct an aerial tour of Isla Sorna, InGen's second site for a failed Jurassic Park experiment, Dr. Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, discovers the true reason for his invitation. A tragic accident maroons the party of 7, and they must attempt to escape with their lives. Budget of $93 million to $369 million at the box office. Nice. Directed by Joe Johnston as opposed to Steven Spielberg. 81% liked it on Google, 49% liked it on Rotten Tomatoes, 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb. What did I think about this one? Again, we have Alan Grant coming back, where he was rather absent in the second one. We have a new director. It says 81. Did I just read this? 81% liked it on. Yeah, I just read that part. Okay, my thoughts. Sorry. Done so many of these. It's just the same one big same day. Every day's the same. But at least till once I turn 30, I'm going to go work at Target, and I do not care. I'm so done fighting this. But anyway, I thought it was less entertaining than Jurassic Park 2, right around the same as Jurassic Park 1. Again, I've already seen it. I do like the series or the franchise in general. So if you, again, when it first came out, again, it's 20, 30-year-old movies. So I found it still entertaining. You get introduced to a new dinosaur. In the first two, the T-Rex is the dominant predator. The animation's a little better, again, from 1993 to 2001. A little better. Still not super convincing, as opposed to like the Jurassic Park Dominion, which we reviewed last year, which is the newest installment. But I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a B-, same as Jurassic Park 1. A little less entertaining than Jurassic Park 2. So I recommend it. I like the series, like the franchise. Noticeably smaller runtime and a new director. And so, if you have not seen it, would like to, those are my overall impressions. And so the movie opens up, you meet Eric Kirby. He is parasailing next to Isla Sorna, which I think they said it's like 207 miles somewhere away from Costa Rica. So it was right on the Costa Rica part from yesterday. But regardless, they're parasailing, they go up, and they're just kind of like, not a small boat, but just not like a huge boat or anything. And so they're just driving by, trying to fly and record to see if they can see any dinosaurs. And their boat captain drives through this like fog or through this kind of like a mist or something, which that is a movie I do want to review, The Mist. I really like the ending of that one. That would have definitely added some kick to it. But I don't know where that one's hosted right now. But regardless, the boat captain, they go through this cloud, and when they come out on the other side, there's blood all over the boat, and there's no people driving it. So they've obviously been attacked by some dinosaurs, and now the boat is going to crash into the island or into this rock. And so they disengage the parachute or the parasail, and then they fly onto the island. And so the next scene you get is Alan Grant is reintroduced into this one. He is giving a lecture or a presentation, a symposium, something or another, and a lot of people want to ask questions about the San Diego event or the time when he was at the island. He doesn't want to answer those questions. And regardless, he then meets up with his graduate student, Billy Brennan. And so they're back in Montana doing an excavation dig, uncovering some fossils, when a guy named Paul Kirby approaches Billy Brennan and Alan, and Billy agrees to have dinner with them. And so they go to dinner, and Paul Kirby and Amanda Kirby are wealthy business people. That's the front they put on. And they say, basically, Alan and Billy, name your price. We just want an aerial tour of the island. And so that's what goes on. They get into the plane. You have some minor characters in the plane crew. One guy's name's Cooper. You also do meet, I guess before they fly there, Alan has a scene where you meet Ellie Sattler's in this one as a kind of a minor character. She is now, she is pregnant, or she had a child with a guy named Mark Degler, so she's either married or has a partner, but she has a family now, she has a kid. Her child is Charlie Degler, and he is like, 3 or 4, youngster. And so now they're on the plane, they're flying over the island, and the captain's like, Mr. Kirby, where do you want me to land the plane? And Alan's like, what are you talking about? We're not going to land the plane. It's a terrible idea. At which point, Paul kind of tells him that, the reason they're there is their son had gone missing, and they're going to look for him. Maybe a scene or two later, but they land on this tarmac, or this place to land. And Cooper and the rest of the trained army dudes go out set up a perimeter to secure their location, and very quickly they get off the plane. Within 5 minutes, Amanda's yelling for Eric, and Alan's like, it's a terrible idea, and then the perimeter dudes come running back, like, let's get on the plane, we have to leave right now. And so they abandon Cooper, he's left behind. He kind of knocks out Alan when Alan learns that they're going to land on the island. He gets freaked out, and Cooper knocks him out. And so Cooper gets left behind as they're scrambling to get on the plane and fly away. The plane starts to take off, and then Cooper's sitting there right in the middle of the plane like, please don't leave me. And then you get introduced to the new dinosaur, which is a big kind of like swimming dinosaur that's dominant to the T-Rex. And so Cooper gets eaten, and the plane goes down. And so they're not able to take off, they crash. They kind of crash land, or they kind of get stuck in a tree. It's very similar to Jurassic Park 1 when the car gets stuck in a tree. The plane gets stuck in the tree, and the big dinosaur is still attacking them. And they fall down, they roll out, and they're, literally it's like a, small plane, like the cabin area. They're trying to like protect themselves by staying in the metal cylinder away from the dinosaur. They have to run a bit, kind of a helter-skelter scene. Everyone's trying to stay safe. Then a T-Rex appears, and this big dominant fin new dinosaur snaps the neck of the T-Rex and kind of stays behind. And so they're able to escape. They climb a tree. They're kind of discussing what's going on. And so pretty much immediately the entire crew is just Alan, Billy, Mark, Paul, Amanda, and they run into Eric pretty quickly, but the rest of the crew gets eaten up pretty fast. And so they now some moments of safety, and that's when you learn that, again, Paul owns just like a small remodeling store. He's not a big business guy. He doesn't have any, he says they were allowed to have some special permits because of his business dealings to fly really low, and they don't. And so they're just trying to find their kid, and they don't really have much resources, and the check that they wrote Alan and Billy's going to bounce. And so you learn that they're just trying to rescue their kid, and they don't really have much going on in terms of the financing. And so during that kind of helter-skelter scene, Alan gets separated, so then they go and they find, so also kind of off-putting, just the kind of characterizations are Paul and Amanda are divorced, and they're kind of like, getting back together, refiguring out their relationship or whatever. And so marriage drama is always good. Any insecurity in the characterization is just immediately off-putting. So some of that in this one as well. But they walk along a little farther, and then they find Paul and Amanda go off to talk about something or look or whatever, and they find a bunch of nests of these velociraptor eggs. And so they're looking for stuff, blah, 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 and they're going through these velociraptor eggs, and Billy puts some of them in his lucky pack or whatever. And so then when the velociraptors surround them, at least Alan gets kind of like surrounded by velociraptors, and then a bunch of smoke grenades get thrown in, and it's Eric who's rescuing. The son is alive. They do find the plane, or the parachute, the parasail, and Alan's like to Billy, do you think you can fly this thing or operate? He's like, I don't know, but take it with us. And so they also find whoever the minor character, whoever Eric was parasailing with at the beginning, like a family friend, or maybe even Amanda's new boyfriend or new husband or whatever. His skeleton, he's been eaten alive, and so they just see a skeleton,
Amanda freaks out a bunch and screams really loud. Again, screaming is always off-putting. But regardless, now you know Eric is alive. Eric takes Alan back. He lives in like a water tanker in this InGen, this company that was building these Jurassic Parks from movies 1 and 2, has abandoned a bunch of equipment. And so Alan and Eric are walking, and they hear the satellite phone from that Paul had brought along. And so Eric's like, that's my dad. I know the ringtone. And so they're able to meet up with each other. It's kind of like on opposite sides of this fence thing, like a big fence. And then they meet up, and they're all ecstatic to see one another. And then they're like, where's the phone? And then they like realize that it's in the stomach of this big fish thing that ate Cooper and these other dudes. And so now they have to run and find some safety. They are able to kind of run and escape. I forget how, but they find an initial building. And they go in there. They break open some vending machines, get some snacks. Kind of looking around, just looking around at the different things. When the Amanda's like looking through, like when you're preserving something, you put in some liquid. She's looking at something like that and sees a velociraptor head, and then realizes it's not in the thing. And so they get chased by some velociraptors. They were able to like pin it and trap it like with like a metal cage, and it's kind of like stuck. And so kind of like the major motif of this one, or just like the scientific investigation, is talking or discussing. I don't know if it's fictional or not, but I don't know. I doubt we can know very much about dinosaurs. But regardless, they were trying to like investigate the ability for velociraptors to vocalize, to coordinate, and the primitive prototypes of language. And so Billy had also created this prototype of like the vocalization chamber of a velociraptor, so they have that in their bag as well. But Alan is impressed about this once they pin the velociraptor that is able to call for help. And so they're running away. They find another building, which is kind of like, it's got like a building and a bunch of like metal trappings and cages. And that's when Alan realizes that the thing in Billy's bag was the velociraptor eggs. And so they're tracking them to find the eggs. And Billy had messed up, and Alan had tells Billy that he's just as bad as the InGen people who set up the Jurassic Park. And so now they're in this big area where it's dark out, it's kind of rainy, it's foggy, and they're walking, on these big like metal cages, metal tarmac things, walkways, and Alan goes across. They have to cross this bridge. Alan goes across first, and he realizes that it's a bird cage. And so now they're in this bird cage with a bunch of dinosaur birds. And so Eric goes to cross the bridge, and this huge bird comes out of nowhere, is crossing the bridge. They start screaming, another helter-skelter scene. Eric gets picked up by the big bird and gets dropped off to the little hatchlings for snack time. And so they're all kind of helter-skelter, and Billy decides, he goes up to this top of the place, jumps off of it, unloads the parasail that he wasn't sure he could fly, and he is able to scoop up Eric, off of the bird nest where he's about to get eaten. And so Billy rescues Eric. They both kind of like land into water. All of them, Alan, Ellie, and Alan, Amanda, and Paul are all kind of in the water, and they're able to escape the bird cage. They end up leaving it open a little bit. Billy looks like it gets mauled to death. He doesn't actually die in the scene, but as the viewer, you kind of think he does. But they're able to get on this boat and to escape. And so it's either the next day or the fog clears and it's kind of morning or light outside, and they're able to see they're taking the majesty of the dinosaurs. But they have another scene where they show that they don't actually lock the door, so the birds can escape as well. And so they're still trying to get to the coast to get rescued. And they're floating down the river on this kind of like boat thing. And they find, or they at one point they find the cell phone or the satellite phone once again. It's in a pile of dung. They dig it out, they find it, and Alan gets Paul is like, you have juice for one phone call, make it count. Don't call the U.S. Embassy, they won't do anything. And so Alan calls Ellie, her 3-year-old child. Charlie picks up. She's outside. Charlie gets distracted by Barney. And so, another one of those scenes where it's like on one end of the phone call, all hell's breaking loose. On the other end of the phone call, it's just, people just have it going about their day, trying not to be bugged or whatever. And so, he makes contact with her, and then as they're floating down the river again, they get attacked by the big swimming predator, the one that snapped the T-Rex's neck. And so another helter-skelter scene where they're fighting that off. 5 minutes of just chaos, and then Alan finds he has a flare gun. A lot of the fuel has started to leak, and so he's able to shoot the flare gun at the fuel that is in the water and kind of like either set the dinosaur on fire or at least cause a big enough distraction for them to get away. And so it's the resolution of the movie. As they get back, Ellie had brought the Navy and the Army or something. A bunch of military people pull up to protect them or to rescue them, and they get on a helicopter and they're heading back. And so Amanda and Paul, kind of reconnect. Eric's happy about it. And when they get back on the plane, they see that Billy is still alive. He's injured, but he's still alive. And so they all make it out. Again, the initial crew dies pretty quick, but everybody else makes it out pretty much alive. And so that's really the resolution of the movie, is once again, they are on a helicopter leaving the island, and there's birds flying. They're like, they just got released out of this bird's cage, so they're, this whole world's new to them. And so I looked it up again. There's 7 Jurassic Parks, so we just recently reviewed the first 3. We reviewed the 7th one, so 4, 5, and 6. Again, if they're not on a free site, I'm not going to go seek them out. So probably it for the Jurassic Park series for now, but continuing on again until I'm 30, and then once September 10th hits, then I'm going to go get the lowest end job I can and just be fine with it. It's just impossible to start a career or family in this country. It literally is. But overall, I thought it was entertaining. So thank you for watching my movie review of Jurassic Park 3, and I will see you on the next one.